Okay, let's relax.
Hi, everybody. This is Annie. This is Jolene. That is Hercules. And this is Fiona LaRue. And we're at the San Diego Humane Society. Welcome to Animal Bond Academy.
Okay, so Fiona, this is Fiona Venus Waddlebutt. She goes by Fifi LaRue. I actually just got Fifi. I adopted her in January from the San Diego Humane Society. And her story, she's actually a miracle to be alive today, and it's thanks to San Diego Humane Society for the life-saving surgery that they performed on her. This little girl was living on the streets. She had a homeless mom, and she was very, very ill. And I actually have a photo of her. This is
Yeah.
Fifi was 38 pounds when she came in. She was surrendered by a Good Samaritan who knew Fifi, and well, she wasn't Fifi at the time. I named her that, but they knew the mom and the dog, and she was vomiting. She was very sick. She could not lift her head on the side, basically dying on the sidewalk. She was reported that she had one puppy at the time, which had passed away, and they thought perhaps maybe she had pyometra. And so he rushed her down to an emergency vet where San Diego Humane Society's HLE officers came to handle her case, brought her in and did an emergency exploratory surgery looking for, a possible puppy. And when they realized there was nothing in that area, they moved up into her intestines and stomach area, which is where they found she had ingested a leash, and it was all wrapped up in her intestines. Yeah. So what I do know was that the HLE officer, what they have to do is they bring the dogs in that are abused or neglected or have something in the condition that she was in is considered a form of animal abuse. So she went into protective custody. They were never able to find her former owner to make a case on it or anything, but she did have to do a formal investigation as best as possible. And she was here for a couple weeks, and I was introduced to Fiona, which is when I came to visit her just after, about 2 weeks after her surgery. Again, really skinny. She was really sick. She was improving, but she had a lot of underlying medical conditions. So I went ahead and took a gamble on her. I adopted her, welcomed her our family. And she is just the sweetest girl. I mean, she's, she's an older dog. They estimated her to be 3, but we're thinking more about between 5 to 7. She has had multiple litters, which she'll never have to do that again. She's been spayed. And I don't, I wish I knew how many litters she did have. And the interesting thing too is that the woman who had her may not have always been her original owner, because it was noted in the surgery notes she does have prior C-section scars. So this type of dog, and based on how small she is, she could not do a natural litter. So she was most likely with a C-section at least once, possibly twice. I'm hoping she didn't have more than that, but it is very hard on her body. You can't see because she is carrying extra weight, but her whole back, like she has some trouble here in her back end, which is most likely a combination of poor diet, having multiple litters, and also possible abuse that was placed on her, being kicked possibly in the back end. She has really weak back legs, and her back slopes, which is indicative of those items I just mentioned. So I started volunteering with the San Diego Humane Society about 5 years ago with Hercules. We were actually recruited out at an event we came in and we did the assessment test, and he passed with flying colors. He's always been a really good dog with all walks of life. I mean, he's never had an issue with anyone, and he lets people touch him all over. He's also a big ham. So my volunteering started with him. We've done a lot of programs on site at the San Diego Humane Society as well as out in the community. And then Fifi, she just became a canine ambassador with San Diego Humane Society this February of 2020. And she's done a reading program so far. She's done a couple of kids' summer camps. And so she's brand new with it, but I think she's going to be great. She loves to dress up. Lots of personality, as you can see. Programs. And basically, she's done everything from covering how to safely meet and greet a dog for kids. And then also we've kind of taken it to the next level of speaking up when they see an animal that is possibly being abused or neglected, letting an adult or a police officer or somebody know if they see something that's not right, a dog that's not being treated well or being left without food or water, which she has a great she's a great pillar for those items. She kind of encompasses all of that. Also about their breed, educating kids at a very young age and even adults when they come here onto the shelter, just educating about shelter dogs in general. They're not bad dogs. They all have great stories and happy tail endings. And not to judge dogs by their looks, because people automatically always see these types of dogs and think pit bulls, but pit bull's not actually a breed. It's an umbrella term that encompasses a lot of dogs that are short and stocky and blocky heads. My two dogs, Hercules and Fiona, especially Hercules, you look at him and he looks like a big, scary, aggressive dog. And he's actually the biggest teddy bear ever, and he's pouting right now. But it melts people's hearts when they see him, interacting with little children at the reading program, and he's just on his back letting kids rub his belly while they're reading books to him. Fiona, soften her up with the tutus, and just actually meeting a dog for itself, not because it's, a scary dog or a misunderstood breed. This is my king. This is the king, huh? Yeah. He's got such a gentle spirit. So Hercules, let's see, I adopted Hercules 6 years ago. And I had always wanted a therapy dog. I wanted a dog that I could do education work or volunteer work with. And I honestly, in the very beginning, I fostered Hercules for the first 6 months. And I honestly, in those 6 months, would have never guessed that he would have been capable to be a therapy dog, or a dog that could sit still and welcome everyone that he eventually showed me he could. It wasn't until I had taken him to an event, a large dog expo up in Orange County, and if you've ever been up to the Orange County Pet Expo, it is like 4 times the size of our Del Mar Fairgrounds. And that day was when I actually saw him in his total element, and he encountered everything from kids up to senior citizens. He was exposed to wheelchairs, people with canes, all different sorts of people, and other dogs, and he was just shining and beaming. And it wasn't until a little boy actually sat with him, asked if he could pet him, and he sat with Hercules, and Hercules, he was hugging Hercules, and it was just a picture spelled it all out for me right there, that he was just completely capable of being in tune with other people's emotions. And it was like that kid was just melting into him, and Hercules was just this rock, and just sat there and almost collapsed like into this little boy. And it was at that moment I said, this is it, like this is the path that I'm gonna take Hercules on. And he did excellent. I mean, we've been volunteering for 5 years. We were recruited by San Diego Humane Society to become what's called canine ambassadors. So we not only represent the shelter and the shelter dogs, but we educate on the breed, and just showing, you know, how wonderful dogs are. And within those programs, I've met wonderful people where Hercules has then moved on to, we do work at the Juvenile Detention Center here in San Diego. He's a regular, not right now during COVID, but he was a favorite there and always being requested. We've done work with the Federal Probation Department for adults. We've done groups with eating disorders, victims of human sex trafficking. So he's done all sorts of things, and he adapts with every single person. The interesting thing about Hercules, he actually draws people to him. You would think, and don't get me wrong, I do have people that see him and tend to cross the street or get scared, but I have more people that are actually drawn to him, and they actually want to come over and interact with him. They literally don't even ask sometimes. They will come over, and this is what he does. He will drop to his side, he'll roll on his belly. So he can be quite the ham, even though he's pretty lazy right now because we are right in the middle of his nap time, his normal nap time. But they see this about him. They see that he's just a total ham. He's a big goofball, and they just want to come over, and he loves it. I mean, he'll engage with it, and he'll start doing this rocking back and forth on his back deal. And this is where, you know, people are just drawn to this. They see it in his eyes. I think his eyes also seem to attract people because they're almost mystical. They're very captivating. And so he's quite the opposite. People actually do want to come and meet him. Now, when we do see people that are afraid of him, the kind of neat thing is I've had people that have never met a pit bull type dog, that would typically be fearful of this type of, you know, this type of looking dog. They've actually wanted to ask questions about him. So he's actually a conversation starter most of the time, which is great because I actually love to hear people's experiences and find out why are they afraid of a dog like this? Have they had a bad experience? Were they possibly bitten? You know, and it doesn't matter the breed. Some people are just fearful of dogs in general. So he tends to be a conversation starter. And then I've had people that have actually took those extra steps and got the courage to learn about him, and then actually get the courage to want to meet him and pet him and engage with him. And that's what it's all about, because if you can change one person's perception, even one, that's huge. And he's just a calm, don't get me wrong, Hercules, he does have his moments where he's a little spaz, but it's 60 seconds and down, and this is mostly him all the time. He's just a solid dog that just loves to be around people. He truly loves to be around people. He likes other dogs, he'll tolerate other dogs, but he's drawn to people. And he just absolutely has this gift about him.
That's it for us, everybody, from Jolene and Annie and Hercules and Fifi's butt. Thank you for joining us. Oh, let me get Jolene. Thank you for joining us on Animal Bond Academy. See you next time. Excellence in Humane Education and the Human-Animal Bond, get Curriculum in Action, Multiculturalism and the Human-Animal Connection at animalbondstudies.org or cognella.com.